Parks Commission meeting. I officially call the meeting to order. Approval of the minutes from last month. If you've had a chance to review those, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion. Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
I also. Thank you. And claims. We've all had a chance to go over the claims. I have grilled Scott on my questions. I will make a motion to accept the claims as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. There's the paper. New business. I have a resolution that I'm going to read. We'll also be reading this at our city council meeting later today. It involves our sport court down by the Elks building, and we're going to name those courts officially today. Resolution 2024-2P, a resolution of the Parks Commission of the City of Madison naming the Madison Sport Court in honor of Mary Kay McCubbin. Excuse me. Whereas Madison Sport Court, a division of Madison Youth Unlimited and led by Mary Kay McCubbin, along with members Kathy Crafton, Lori Dorsey, and Susan Ohlendorf, began an initiative to renovate the public tennis courts located at 1253 West Main Street, Madison. And whereas Madison Sport Court created a plan with the City of Madison and IKE to redevelop the tennis courts into a multi-use court that accommodates both tennis and pickleball, and raised all of the necessary funds to complete the project, bringing a high-quality health and fitness opportunity to the residents of our community. And whereas in 2020, the city entered into a use agreement with IKE and the River Chase Golf Course to enable the sport court to be utilized for public use and to hereafter be considered property of the City of Madison, Indiana. And whereas the Parks Commission of the City of Madison, Indiana agreed to designate the sport court to be utilized as a public park, and hereby declares that the name of that said park shall be the Mary Kay McCubbin Sport Court, to honor her tenacity, leadership, and determination to create a facility that will serve the community for generations to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Parks Commission of the City of Madison, Indiana, as follows. A recommendation to the mayor and the Common Council of the City of Madison shall be made to officially name the sport court the Mary Kay McCubbin Sport Court. This resolution shall be in full force and effect unless amended in the future from the date of its adoption by the Common Council of the City of Madison, signature of the mayor, and enrollment in the Book of Resolutions. Duly adopted by the Parks Commission of the City of Madison this 7th day of October, 2024. Woo! I'm excited.
You made it.
Very deserving. We're going to sign this puppy right now. I'm just honored to read that. Okay. 2025 Rates and Policies Draft. Now, this is our first reading of this. We are tweaking some of our fees. We're going to be discussing some of that today. This is not in concrete today. This is our first time to review it. And I'll need to get my notes out, but do you guys have any questions to start us off? I took notes in my phone, so I gotta look them up. Okay, so Scott, one thing is when I was looking at the campground fees, I did go to the Clifty website because we had talked about before you were here, when Matt was here, about we want to be competitive, with them so that we can compete. And I know it's completely two different campgrounds, like We don't offer a swimming pool and different things in our, walking distance. Well, I guess walking distance, but we still don't have the full hookup, so we know that, it's worth more when you can do that. But when I looked up their fees, they were still beating us, and I was wondering if we might think about it, consider, being the same as them and actually trying, our goal is to try to fill our weekdays better. And I feel at least our weekdays, we need to be the same or less than Clifty if we're going to try to fill more spots.
We went, we went through and reduced the weekday pricing for that matter, because we're only, overall for the entire campground, for the entire year, we're only at a 30% occupancy rate. So we need to work hard on trying to fill those weekly slots. The inherent problem that we have, as you mentioned, is the sewer hookups, and people don't want to come and spend a week at our campground because they have to deal with either renting our tote or literally unhooking everything, going to dump, and then come back and reset. So we've been struggling during the week. We don't have any issues on our high volume weekends with all of our festivals and things going on. But we intentionally lowered the weekday rate, hoping to draw some more people in this year. We're also going to work on package deals. So, different rates for different groups. If you're a nurse, first responder, we're going to work on some different rates for that as well. This past year, we also gave passes to Crystal Beach, and we'll advertise more of that. We're also advertising the golf course as well, so you can stay with us and play golf too at a discount. So we're trying to package some of our other amenities to make that a little bit more enticing. This year coming up, we're going to look at more advertising through Good Sam magazine, which we think will help draw some people in as well. But you're right, I think for us, we can't do much until we put hookups there and kind of change the nature of the campground.
Right, so help me find, I'm trying to find the campground now.
It should be one of the first ones.
It's on the inside cover.
Oh, it's in the
First page.
stapled packet. I was in the loose stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So I took a picture of the website. So right now, Clifty, Sunday through Wednesday, because they consider Thursday night part of their weekend. Sunday through Wednesday, I have $30. I didn't get enough of the screen. I'm gonna have to look it up on my phone right now. And then, Thursday through Saturday, $40. And then they have different holiday prices too. I'm strictly talking non-holiday stuff. And so what is ours right now, you guys?
So riverfront fees, that we reduced them Monday through Thursday to $39.99, and then weekends are $58.99, and river view fees, which are the sites that are off the front of the river, are $24.99 a night and $36.99 on the weekends.
Okay, so that's not on the paper that I'm looking at.
That's lower than what we have.
Correct. So in our stapled packet, it still says $49.99 Monday through Thursday, and $34.99 on, for the
Yeah,
non-view.
no, we lowered those $10.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Where's the suggested ones? That's where I'm looking. We have so many paper. Oh. Do you guys see the new suggested fees? I'm still looking too.
If you look in the written narrative with our logo on it,
Does it have a page number at the bottom that you
yes,
see
it
it?
does, page 3.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Apologize to the people in the audience as we flip through our 50 pieces of paper. But there is a lot here. Page 1. Okay, there we go.
So under section 12, you can see those are the prices that we're proposing.
The riverfront and river view. Riverfront is you are right front and center, you are closest to the water.
Correct.
That is confusing for me for some reason. River view is, you can see it, but you're not right on it. Okay. So they're $30 a night, Sunday through, and we're still gonna be 40, so we're still 10 more. You know, because my argument is if I can get 5 more people camping there a week, wouldn't that more than make up for the extra $10 a night for the few that we're getting now?
Right. I mean, I think we're looking at two different campers. Some that want the nature, which are going to stay at Clifty regardless, and some that want to go shopping and move around downtown. So we're on the river. There's a premium for that, in my opinion. I mean, we are lowering it $10 from what it was last year because we're just not filling spaces. So the question is whether or not it's an advertising issue, whether it's an amenity issue, or whether it's just strictly a price issue. And we've got to kind of hit it on all fronts to figure out which is the best combination for it to work.
You guys have any thoughts?
I'm okay. I mean, I definitely hear Carla, but if we're going down from last year, $10,
Yeah.
I think it's worth a try. But I do, and maybe it is too different, nature or shopping, you know, or the downtown area. I think it's worth a try to lower it and see if a little more advertising will help make up for it.
I think advertising in Good Sam next year will make a big difference because that really is a nationwide publication, and that's where campers go to look for places to stay. So hopefully that'll draw some people this way.
Okay. And then I had, explain to me what a Brown Gym open gym membership consists of.
Basically, you can do any of the programs that we do in Brown Gym. So if you want to walk, you want to do part of the Tai Chi, you want to do the senior aerobics, you can do all of those for one price.
But pickleball's still separate.
Correct.
I feel like, I was just wondering if we might be able to make that a little more specific so people don't get confused and think they can come to pickleball too. But, okay. And will that include the new adult active programming stuff that Whitney is developing right now?
If they buy an all access pass, it will. Yes.
And where's the all access? What page is that on? Remind me.
Page 11.
How do you find that so fast? Good job.
I wrote it.
Yeah, but still, it's a lot.
I probably read it about 12 times. So
Okay, page 11, there it is. Adult wellness package, all right, so $400, is that the all-inclusive, the wellness package? What's the difference? Okay, so one says adult wellness package 400, one says adult wellness 275. So adult wellness is just the stuff at Hunter Hall?
the adult wellness is this the stuff at Hunter. So adult wellness package includes any activities at Crystal Beach in the summertime. The adult wellness package does not include Crystal Beach. So it's the activities in Hunter Hall, it's anything at Brown Gym, it's all those activities other than water aerobics, lazy river, those kinds of things.
So the $400 package, I can be in the water, I can be upstairs in classes, I can be at the Brown Gym doing,
Whatever you want, except for pickleball.
okay. And adult wellness is just the classes upstairs, Pilates, yoga, the new stuff that we're gonna start.
And Brown Gym, yep.
And Brown Gym too?
Yep.
Okay. So when we promote that, we'll be more specific with each, I mean, because if I can't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, Whitney's working with Hannah right now, trying to
Okay.
figure out how, when we roll that out, how it's described, so it's clearer for everybody. Because
Okay.
we're gonna go through and describe the different classes and what they're gonna do, the different levels in each class. I mean, it's fairly comprehensive.
Okay, guide me to the pickleball. What page is that on? Whoever finds it first, shout it out.
I'm gonna guess on page 7. Page 7,
Okay, I saw beginner pickleball Saturdays.
yes.
Okay, let's see, where's that on here? Okay, obviously a new program we're starting. Do
Yes.
we already have somebody lined up to teach that, or?
No, the question is, I had a group of citizens reach out to me that they don't feel comfortable playing during the regular times of pickleball because they're not very good. So they wanted an opportunity to have open gym that they could practice and play, and just for them to go in and do their thing. It's basically open gym for beginner pickleball. There is going to be a conversation at some point with Charlie, who I haven't talked to yet, and you
We won't
about
put you on the spot there, Mr.
opportunities
Ferguson.
for teaching if they want that. So I want this to be about whatever they want to do and not us, here's a program for you that you have to do. The other thing that's important, it's not just retired people. I want to have opportunities for high school kids who are looking to play more pickleball to be able to come in and play and kind of get their feet wet and learn how to play the game, and then that'll help grow the program as well. So this would be only for beginners. It wouldn't be for people who have their membership, who like, hey, Saturday they're playing, I'm going to go play Saturday. That's my only hesitation about this, is trying to make sure that doesn't happen. But I think it's something that, I've had people reach out. It's a need that we have to do. If we want to grow pickleball and do more, we want things for the high school kids to do. That's the opportunity for them to be able to play pickleball and kind of learn the sport and grow.
And once we, explain our new courts that we're gonna have outside, it might even create more interest,
Correct.
because they'll have a place they can play all the time. Okay, and so will that be like a 2-hour? Have you got any specifics yet, or it's just in a,
Yeah, we've talked from 8 until 12, or even 8 until 4, because high schoolers aren't going to come in from 8 in the morning till noon on Saturday. But the retirees might, and then that might give us kind of a separation of older versus younger. And then that way it's more free flowing, and you don't have to rush to get down there. We would staff it. We'd have somebody down there to collect the fees. It would just be daily fee only. And then probably 8 to 4 just for people, just for the flexibility of scheduling.
I think we could probably get some volunteers to come and help teach too.
Yeah,
And
I think
know
so.
I would chip in. Okay. Crystal Beach party rental. What page is Crystal Beach?
Crystal Beach, I think, is just past this one. It's on page 9.
So I'm happy to see some of our fees going down. We tried it, didn't work. We're okay saying, you know what, we need to lower the fees. So this one is gonna be lowered to $500. And how long does that get me a party? Let's see.
It's 2 hours. It's basically from 6 to 8 in the evening. And instead of charging separately for lifeguards, we're including the basic amount of lifeguards that we need, which would be 7. So it's an inclusive package, which we think would be more amenable, so people know exactly what their pricing is.
Okay. So, awesome. So $500 for 2 hours, and includes everything that you'll need.
Yep.
Okay.
Hold on, is it 500 or 600?
$600, yes.
Oh, I thought I wrote 5, in my notes, I'm just looking at my notes.
And last year was 800?
It was 800 last year, plus the cost of
Thank you.
lifeguards. So we had, KDH was our biggest renter, and I think we billed them $920 for their 2-hour event. So this year, it would just be 600.
Okay,
And that was
600 including lifeguards.
including lifeguards.
no
yeah.
extra charges.
Yep.
Okay, can you talk a little bit about the water aerobic all-access pass?
Yes. Before Crystal Beach opened this year, our biggest concern, we knew water aerobics was gonna be big. And our concern was capacity, comfort, crowding, those kinds of things. So we limited the number of people in each class based upon what we thought was a good number. Going through this summer, realizing that we had far more capacity than we anticipated, really probably halfway through the summer, we said next year, we're not gonna limit the size of the class. So you have the opportunity, this coming year, to buy a pass, and that means you can go anytime. If you wanna go in the morning, you can go. If you wanna go at night, you can go. If you wanna do lazy river, you can do that. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just one cost. You can go as many times as you want. We think the capacity will build better that way. We won't have the crowding issues that we thought we had, because I think the most we had in class may have been 25 or 30, but we have enough capacity in the pool to accommodate people. And this helps people more with scheduling, where it's like, I signed up for nights, but I can never get there. So we think this will help out with some of that scheduling.
Will it also include the deep water class?
Yes.
So there'd be aerobics, walking, resistance walking, and deep water.
Right. And 2 aerobics, morning or night.
Okay.
Yeah. And whatever other programs that we're working on for Crystal Beach as well.
And I had written down $100, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, because I wrote the other one down wrong.
Which one is it? It is, I wonder where, Chris, where you got yours. 150 is what we have for
I
daytime
took
and
this
or
from the stuff
nighttime.
that was sent to us, that was online, because I wanted to remember to bring it up. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. What did you say, 150?
150.
Because if I, this year, would have purchased a deep water pass, a water resistance, and a water aerobics, was it $30 a session?
It was, depending on which ones you took, it was $20 a session for the shorter classes and 85 for the season for water aerobics. So that would have been 125 for those three.
Okay, so, Kim, what paragraph is that in, that I can read it, please? I'm on page 9. Okay. I'd like it to be less than that.
Which one are you talking about?
Okay, so right in the middle of the page where it says Water Aerobics All Access Season Pass. Tell me again, Scott, if I had gotten a full season of water aerobics this year, it would have cost me $85?
Correct.
And then if I had gotten a resistance walking,
$20
20?
for one 4-week session. If you went for the whole year, I think it was 50,
How long were the sessions? 1 month?
1 month. Yeah,
So $20 a month.
yep.
So let's just say I went all three. And then deep water prices,
Same thing.
the
Deep
20
water,
per
yeah,
session.
Yeah. So if you went, see, it was, I think it was $50 for the 3 sessions. So if you wanted to do 3 different sessions
Oh,
of
you gave like a
jogging,
10, I got you.
You get a discount.
So that would have
it's-
been $185.
Right.
Had you wanted to do everything, morning, noon, night.
No, yeah. That would include morning water aerobics and then the other 3 classes. It would not have included evening aerobics, which was a separate sign-up,
Okay.
which had a huge wait list that we couldn't accommodate.
Yeah, the morning class was always, it seemed like,
Yep.
more full. Okay, so I was confused on some of those prices then. So that's $185 and we're gonna let them go to everything for 30, $35 less. Okay.
With
I'm
the
all-
option of evening, which they didn't have before.
I'm all right with that, yep. I also had a question about golf seniors. I think it was just a typo somewhere, that prices for the seniors at the golf course. I did notice, and thank you so much for, we're gonna call seniors, and everybody 55 and over is officially now a senior in the Parks Department.
Correct.
Like that. I just felt like there was a fee.
Page
and
6.
with the seniors that was not correct, but. So if I'm 25 and I'm gonna get 18 holes at the park, what is the price? Somebody help me. Prime time, regular 25-year-old,
Weekday or weekend?
weekday, what's that gonna cost me?
Weekday is going to cost you $42. 22 for greens fees, 20 for the cart.
42, and the seniors get it for 31.
Yep.
Okay. And then, what's my twilight if I'm 25 and I'm doing 9 holes with the cart?
It doesn't matter the age for twilight, it's any age.
Oh.
9 holes with the cart's $22.
Okay, okay. All right, that was right. For some reason, to me, it didn't look like they were getting a discount the first time I saw it, but it might have been something that I just didn't look at right. Do you guys have any questions or?
No, I saw the 55. I think it's good to be consistent across the board with all of them.
And I just wanted to say also that the golf board, we went over the fees for Sunrise with the golf board, and this is the recommendations of the golf board for these rates.
Yeah, I didn't really have any issues with the rates, I just thought it was a typo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I trust the golf board, and that's why we have them, because I know nothing about that.
It was unanimous too, by the way.
Okay,
We're good.
So are there any other major changes that we haven't mentioned, talked about, or discussed?
No, I think the golf course was probably the biggest. Camping went down. Everything else pretty much stayed consistent throughout. We did add some pricing for private skate parties, which we're getting interest for now. So we've added some pricing in for that. Nothing's really changed at Rucker at all.
Oh, I also wanted to say that I appreciated you, giving the discounts to the nonprofit organizations when they do rentals and stuff.
Yeah,
We've talked about that many times, but we've never officially done it, so thank you for doing that. And I also would like for you to think about, as a teacher, we would use skating parties kind of as a fundraiser for our school. And so I'd like to come up with a rate for the school specifically, where we could get what we need to cover our costs. but
Right.
They could also use it as a fundraiser. Like maybe even a better deal than's here, better than I would get giving a birthday party for my granddaughter. I'd like to give the schools a chance to raise money by doing this, so if we could come up with maybe a school price, or at least consider it, I'd appreciate that.
yeah, we'd have to talk about where that would come from. I mean, we're $10 entry fee and $5 skate, so we'd have to figure out really the entry fee piece of that. The DJ part of it's a variable. You can either bring your own music, or basically what we're saying is, if you're gonna book a private party and you want a DJ and you don't have one, we can see if we can find one, but we're gonna charge you 10% more as a service charge to find them and book them for you and include that in your cost. So that's always a variable. It's like Hanover College did a small group, they brought their own music, and so it was a very inexpensive night for them. So we can figure out what our base rate is, and then whatever you guys wanna charge on top for a school, then we'll have to talk about that.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
so I would like to, so are we okay for today on the fees, anything else?
I'm good.
Okay, cause I'll take another look at it.
Okay, yeah, please do. There's a lot of information there. There's a lot of detail. If something doesn't look right, just reach out and let me know, and we'll adjust accordingly.
Okay, so, our next order of business is to talk about our future meeting dates and times, because of the four of us, and David's gone today, it seems that it's a struggle for us to come up with coaching, we all coach and run schools, et cetera. So we need to discuss my issue with Monday meetings is that a lot of the holidays, President's Day, Martin Luther King Day, seem to fall on Mondays. And so therefore, we're constantly rescheduling, and it's really hard with the four of us to find a day where we can all meet. So I would be in favor of, I'm not pushing it, I'm not making a motion, but I feel like Wednesdays are less touchable as far as holidays, or elections, or whatever the city the different things the city closes for, or the schools. Phil, how about Wednesdays for you and athletics and school events?
Mondays are tough either way, but, Wednesdays are probably better. The earlier the better. And since David's not here, I think, he may have a harder time with 4 o'clock. But that would be my proposal, is probably Wednesday at 4. And since he's not here, he can't vote.
Well, we don't have to make the motion today.
No, it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, and Jake, what about you in coaching?
I'm flexible. It's hard for me to know until I see my schedule, so,
But
I'm-
is 4 o'clock even doable for you, like during the season?
no.
Okay.
But
Is 5 o'clock doable for you during the season?
there's no difference between 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I think it's a good conversation for now. We don't need to figure this out right now.
right.
We'll put it on the agenda again for next month, so David's here, and then we can make a motion next month and set the dates for next year when David's here.
Okay, and I do agree that the later that we can do it, it does, if somebody wants to come in before us and present or request or critique, whatever, it does, like most people do have to work till 4, but I understand we also have to do it when our commissioners can be here. Okay, so we'll table that, but we're leaning toward Wednesday. I want that on the record, we're leaning toward Wednesdays. All right, next thing up is time for Mr. Scott to talk. Report of park officials.
I'll be filling in for Tanya today since she's in Florida dodging a hurricane. Harvest Festival is coming up on the 26th. All the sponsorships have been sold for that. We've had a good response to that. We're finalizing plans and details for that to roll out, so we're in good position with that. We also have, planning on advertising shortly, father-daughter and mother-son dance coming up on consecutive nights in November at Hunter Hall. Everybody's welcome for that. You don't have to fit the category of a father or mother, whatever your category is, you're welcome to come and be part of that as well. So that'll be coming up in November. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk from Tanya's perspective is RSVP, who shares space with us at the senior center, recently got a new van as a grant. And so they've offered to allow the senior center to use their other van for some of our day trips, which is basically a huge expense saver for the seniors. Before, we'd have to charge them a rental fee and gas and all that. And now all we do is pay for the gas and we get free use of the van. So that'll help lower the cost of some of our day trips to our seniors when we take those on Wednesdays. So we're very, very appreciative of RSVP for allowing us to do that. And they're a great partner for us at the senior center, and Diane and the whole group have been fantastic. So that's really a good thing for our seniors. For us, it's a pass-through, but it's a great benefit for the seniors.
What about insurance on that, Scott?
Covered by RSVP.
Very nice.
It's great.
Moving on to Riverview Campground numbers so far for the year. Year to date, we have revenue of about $206,000 against expenses of $44,000 for a net revenue of $161,000. I know I say this every meeting, but I'll repeat it every meeting. We're categorizing our expenses and our revenue differently. So we're trying to capture a lot of those fees that we collect as revenue. So innkeeper's tax, sales tax, credit card reservation fees, all those come into us at the beginning as revenue, but some of those go back out as expenses, of course. So we capture them on both sides now. So our revenue may be a little bit higher, but so will our expenses. We're just trying to make sure we capture every one of those fees and revenues that are there, just so y'all can see those. So that's that for that number. Year to date, revenue $220,000 against last year at this time $167,000, and I'm rounding. Expenses this year $50,500 against $36,000 last year. Our net revenue this year about $170,000 against $131,000 last year. So our revenues are up. We've had a good year. We're doing well down there. The bad news that I need to report is that Doug and Georgia will not be back next year. So we need to start looking for some new hosts for next year. We greatly appreciate everything they did for us this year. They were fantastic. Had a lot of great innovative ideas that we will carry through. They'll be around so we can pick their brains when we need to. But they've been a great asset, and we greatly appreciate them being here for this year. All right, I'm going to move into Crystal Beach report for this year. I'm going to kind of break it down in segments so everybody can kind of see overall how we did. We did an evaluation in August. How did we do in August? And some other things that are included in these numbers but aren't really repeatable, and I'll explain what that is. So end of year financials for Crystal Beach. We had about 300,000, I guess I'll be exact to the penny, $300,433.25 in income. We had expenses of $352,790.47 for a net loss of $52,357.22. What I want to make sure is clear to everybody that within that those expense lines were what I'm calling non-repeatable expenses. So when we opened Crystal Beach, there were expenses with the opening that should have been part of construction but weren't. And so we absorbed those on the operating side. So we have $17,000 for the Wi-Fi infrastructure. That's part of this expense for this year. We have about $9,000 in electrical expenses for the redoing of the electrical in the concession stand. We had about, I think, $12,000 in plumbing expenses, which was sinks and running the water, hooking up the water fountain outside. Janitorial supplies, which were mats and brooms and mops and wet floor signs and all those kinds of things. I'm just looking at my equipment. We had about $3,000 in concession equipment. There was no concession equipment left from the previous Crystal Beach, so everything there had to be purchased new. So all those numbers, all those first-time expenses totaled $46,800. So if you look at the total income of $300,433.25 with what I would call general operating costs, what it would cost us normally to operate, of $305,989, showed a net operating loss of just over $5,000. Now, the other little piece of cherry on top of that is we pre-purchased a lot of chemicals last year and didn't really know what we're going to be running. Right now, we have about $25,000 in chemicals in inventory that were left over from this year, which will then help reduce our operating costs for next year. We paid for them this year, so we have to show them. So that's actually inventory that we're holding right now that will be reused. So that's additional expense. So I'd say overall, at Crystal Beach, it was a pretty good year. We came very, very close to breaking even, which is very exciting. I know we have some work to do on managing our labor, which was our biggest expense by far. So we can manage that next year. We're already coming up with ideas on how to do that. And then our concessions came in very well. We had about $44,000 in expenses for food supplies, and we had about $80,000 in sales. So our food cost for concessions was just north of 50%, which is, you want to be about 50% for concession sales. So we're pretty tight on that. So overall, I think we had a pretty good year at Crystal Beach.
How much was the initial expense for the chemicals? We got 25,000 left.
We spent just north of $62,000 total for the chemicals. That's chemicals that we pre-purchased and then chemicals we purchased through the year. That also includes freight, which is a huge part of that expense. So I've already pre-ordered all of our chemicals for next year for one delivery. It should get us through the whole year, and so we won't have all those freight charges, which on average for every delivery was about $1,500 to $1,700. And I think we had 4 or 5 deliveries last year. So that's $8,500 that we won't have again next year.
The fees that we paid to the people that taught swim lessons, is that included in the lifeguard number here? Like I see labor fees, I see labor lifeguard fees, labor management, labor lifeguards, labor front desk, and concessions.
Right.
Did we lump the swim lesson people that we paid into the lifeguard? Is that where that is?
Yeah, that follows under, we called it a stipend this year. So for private, you're talking about private lessons, you're talking about just swim lessons.
Just swim lessons?
Yeah, swim lessons, they're classified as lifeguards. That's in the
Okay.
lifeguard expense.
Okay.
We also did private swim lessons this year. We charged $30 per private swim lessons. $18 of that went to the person giving a lesson, and the city got $12 of that. We took in just over $3,000 in revenue in private swim lessons this year. The other thing that we'll talk about is Jane's Kids and Bethany Legacy Foundation and their portion of this. So typically every year Jane's Kids has a program where they, it's $5 to get in the pool. Jane's Kids would basically absorb $4 of that, and the customer would pay $1. This year, Bethany Legacy Foundation said, we'll pay the $1, and River Valley Resources, who ran Jane's Kids, will pay the $4. So the Jane's Kids numbers this year were actually really small compared to what they've been. There was less than 90 kids in Jane's Kids program this year, which I really think it's more about the SNAP WIC program with Bethany Legacy. I think we had a lot of people migrate to that program from Jane's Kids. So we had 10 kids in Jane's Kids Swim lessons, and then we had less than 90 kids, basically daily fees for the kids coming in. For Bethany Legacy Foundation, with the SNAP WIC piece of that, we had north of $5,000 in revenue for daily passes and north of $10,000 in reimbursement for concessions and merchandise. So the number we got back from Bethany Legacy Foundation this year in income was just north of $17,000, and about $1,000 from Jane's Kids. So all those kids that came in for the family was free, but we got reimbursed fully for the expenses of the entries and the food and the merchandise that they purchased. And all that detail is on the sheet I have for your sources and uses. And I tried to do what I hopefully was a fairly clear understanding on this last sheet, which is the description of the Bethany and SNAP programs, which basically just talks about what I just spoke about.
And can I ask you, do we put anything online besides our agenda, like for people to be able to see these numbers?
We can. I mean, that's totally up to y'all.
Okay,
I mean, it's all public information.
right. Okay, let me think about that. I think that
I
might
think
be something
it'd be good to put online, but there's, like, I wrote down a lot of stuff that explains that
Right.
deficit better than if you just post that number online.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to put some at the bottom for, better explanation.
Yeah. I just messed up my order. I thought that's SNAPWIC.
I just, Crystal Beach was a big deal for all of us. And I think it's important that we communicate back to the public, like how we finished.
Right. Yeah.
We're still in the negative, but it was our first year.
Yeah.
We're gonna tweak some changes about how we manage people, how many hours people work, the amount of overtime hours.
Right. Now, the other thing is, I did not include things like the water bill and the electric bill. We've got 3 different water bills. We have 3 different electric bills. Some are for Hunter Hall, some are for the basketball court. It's all wrapped up into one. So I didn't include Hunter Hall revenue, which next year it'll be all part of the NRO, so that'll be a complete and total package next year. So when we go through and do this, that will include everything next year.
All utilities?
All utilities, because you have to remember, from January until May, our utility costs were the contractor using our utilities. So I don't know how much of it was really us and how much was the contractor. So I didn't feel comfortable putting those numbers in this year because it really wasn't an operating expense of the pool. Next year it will be, so next year we'll capture it as part of our operating expense.
And you'll be able to break it down and know exactly how much each building uses. That would be interesting.
The concession stand is on a separate electric meter. The main building's on a separate electric meter. I think we only have 2 water meters, which would include irrigation as well. That one will be a little murky, but that's not a big number anyway.
Yeah, we should probably put an asterisk at the bottom that says this does not include water,
Yeah.
electricity, and utilities, because that is a big number.
Yep.
Every month, we see
Yeah.
those on our
Insurance,
expenditures.
all those pieces that are.
That would be good, that would be good to help us
Yeah.
get the whole picture.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay. I did an evaluation of August because that's really the big question, right? Does it make sense for us to open in August or stay open all the way through to Labor Day? So I knew it was going to be a question, or I anticipated it to be a question. So bear with me as I kind of go through this because I broke it down the way my mind works, so hopefully it makes sense to everybody else. So originally when we said we're going to open, August 7th was the first day of school. That was our first official day that we normally wouldn't have been open. So I looked at August 7th going forward, and I looked at this different ways. I said, okay, what does it cost us to operate Monday through Friday once school opened? And then what does it cost us to operate just on the weekend? And then overall, did it make sense for the whole, everything combined? So looking at August weekday activity, again, this is not weekend, this is only while school is in session. We had a total of 1,831 people come in, generating $9,155 in revenue. We had $85 in exercise fees, $330 in swim lesson revenue, and $257 in concessions and merchandise sales. which was through the SNAP WIC program, creating $9,827 in revenue during the weekday. Personnel costs for the same period were $17,955, resulting in a net revenue loss of just over $8,000 for the weekday. On the weekend, and this includes the holiday, which would be Labor Day, total paid weekend and holiday entries for the period were 2,203 people, generating $11,013 in revenue. In addition, there was 150 in merchandise fees, 300 in swim lessons, and $1,305 in concessions and merchandise sales from Bethany Legacy Foundation, generating $12,768 in total weekend revenue. Personnel costs for the same period were $17,046, resulting in a net loss of $4,278 for the weekend. That doesn't include any concessions. That's just simply pool activities. So we closed the concession stand during the week because we didn't think we'd have much activity. So we only opened the concession stand on the weekend and Labor Day. So the total weekend and holiday revenue for the time period was $7,926. Personnel costs for the same time period were $2,239, resulting in a net gain of $5,686. So the total operating Crystal Beach, the totality of operating Crystal Beach from the beginning of the high school year until Labor Day resulted in labor expenses of $37,241 against revenues of $31,826, creating a net loss of $5,414 for August. Now, I think again we can clean up our personnel costs during that time period and be much closer to breaking even by staying open during August. Does anybody have any questions about all that?
No, I was going to ask about personnel. Could we cut some of the personnel? Did we learn anything and trim back on that? But we just need to decide if losing money in August or even breaking even in August is worth it.
I think we had a great response from the group that called themselves Gray Watch, to the point where a lot of those individuals want to come back and work full-time next summer, which I think is really important for the pool and for the atmosphere there. I think that's a really important thing, and I'm so thankful for it. Next year, we have to be much more intentional about identifying position slots and timing. I think we look at 3 different work brackets, if you will, opening, midday, and closing, with specific numbers of spots in each one, and we hire for those spots only, not just hire bodies. I think by doing that, we manage our personnel much better. We're much tighter on the number of people there, and through our system, we have we have on-call people and things with vacations and holidays, those kinds of things. I think that's how we really manage the personnel piece at Crystal Beach next year. I think by doing that, our numbers will look much better than they were this year. And this year, they weren't too bad.
I know that our manager, Shelley Anderson Hamilton, wanted to come, but she's on break this week. But she would like to come to a future meeting also and kind of talk to us about some of that stuff. So if we were to ask you today, you would say you'd like to try it at least one more summer.
Yes.
And see if we could get closer to breaking even in that time period.
Yes. We opened, the other thing too is we had a really cold week in August after we stayed open, and we didn't have much revenue that week. Following week was extremely hot again. We opened the concession stand just to try and capture a little bit. I think we broke even that week. But I think we just have to be flexible in how we do that. I think if we didn't have that really cold week, we probably would have been closer to breaking even. But it's the weather. We had a great, typically we would have probably been closed more during the summer than we were this year. We had a lot of days that were just great days. A few days that we had to close for mechanical issues and some weather. I don't expect that every year, but I'm hopeful. But it's a good first year, a good year of data collection, and a good year of understanding where we ended up, and help us make better plans for next year.
I'm going to respond to Phil a little bit. I think if we are breaking even, even if it's just by a little bit or we're close, I wouldn't want to take away a service, to the community. So I think it would be worth it. Is my response to that if we can financially sustain it.
I agree. One more question about Crystal before we move on. Regatta weekend. Very confusing. The pool was open, but we did not do a good job of making sure people knew that with some kind of signage or whatever. And I don't think, probably need better communication with the regatta people too, if indeed we're gonna be open. I don't know how our statistics were as far as numbers. I don't think they were great during the regatta, so that's just something to think about for next year. Is it worth paying those people to be there if we're not getting, draw people in?
Yeah, we had one rain day, July 4th weekend that we were closed. So that definitely hurt us. I've already made comments to a few people that there are a few of these festivals that essentially close off Crystal Beach to the public. And I'm not a big fan of that. This is a city park. It should be accessible to everybody when we're open in the summertime. And if there's accommodations that have to be made for regatta or for a car show or for Riverfest or whatever it is, there has to be some compensation. If you're gonna limit access to Crystal Beach and reduce our revenue, they should pay a fee to that. You're reducing our money, then because of your festival, that's a separate outside of what we're doing. How does the city get compensated for loss of revenue because you basically shut down access to our park? That's a conversation we all need to have as we're talking next year for all these festivals, and how do we better accommodate our customers so that they can access those facilities when there's other things going on. It's really disappointing to me to lose the opportunity for people in the summertime to go to Crystal Beach on a big holiday weekend because they can't park and they can't get there.
Yeah. So, and maybe there are some compromises on the dimensions of the festivals. I mean, I'm sure we can reach some common ground, but we do
Yeah.
need to talk about that before next year.
I agree.
Sunrise, is that where you're going next?
Yeah, real quick for Sunrise. You don't have any data for Sunrise. I'll give a real quick explanation of how I track or how things are tracked. So Sunrise is an NRO, and the way things are right now, from an accounting standpoint here, all the NRO money is combined. So Crystal Beach and Rucker and the campground and Sunrise, all that money is combined, all the expenses are combined. So from a report standpoint here, I can't really break out Sunrise. I do a separate tracking sheet for all those parks. I do it by invoice. Whenever we get an invoice, I track each invoice separately. On my spreadsheets, my monthly expenses for Sunrise are X amount. My summary for the year is a different number, and I don't know why. So I want to go back and try and figure out why those numbers aren't tying in. So I didn't want to come back and say we're at this point with Sunrise until I figure out. I think I've got some formulas that are double counting, so I need to go back and dig in and find out why that is. So I think last month at Golf Board we're about $21,000 to the good. So I just need to go through and dive into my spreadsheets and make sure my numbers are accurate before I report out. So next month we'll be able to report out for Sunrise.
You want to talk about golf carts, or we're going to save that?
No, let's talk about golf carts now. Yes. So one of the biggest issues that we have right now in increasing revenue at Sunrise is the quantity of golf carts that we have. We're down to about 33 working golf carts. That limits our ability on the weekends to open up tee times for play. Roger estimates we lose probably $1,000 a weekend for time that's blocked off because we don't have golf carts. It limits our ability to have events. It lowers the number of people we can do at events, which lowers our revenue. We sell a lot of spectator carts that right now we rent at a price, and we charge, I think, $5 more than we rent. So that's a pass-through cost that we lose revenue on. And we don't advertise because we can't get people to come in and play golf because we don't have enough carts. So we've gone through an evaluation at the request of the Golf Board. We've gotten quotes from Club Car and Easy Go both for basically the same types of package. We've come up with 60 new golf carts is the number that we've decided we need. The total annual cost for those is about $82,000. And then we've come up with a list of categories of how we're going to pay for that. And so we've developed a list of revenue sources based upon an increase in cart fees from last year, times the number of times we've rented them, the same number of spectator carts that we had this year, what's the cost that we will now get 100% of, advertising fees on the GPS in the carts, a wide variety of revenue sources, league play, basically driving more traffic to the course now that we have the carts.
Not to mention the 1,000 per.
Plus the
per
$1,000 per weekend. So all those numbers together basically show that if we hit our benchmarks for sales, we'll come in about $3,000 more than what it's going to cost us for the golf carts. And so the golf board, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The golf board has made recommendation to move forward with leasing new golf carts. We will do a sale of our existing golf carts to the leasing company. They came back with about $40,000 worth of value for selling those carts to them. And looking at delivery time will be March of April of 2025. And so we'll have new carts available so we can really start trying to push more revenue towards Sunrise. It's really important for everybody to know that Sunrise is not supported by tax dollars. Sunrise is supported by the money it makes. So any money we can make is what Sunrise can spend. If our revenues keep getting lower, then you'll start to see it on the golf course, the shape of the golf course, the condition of the facilities. So we have to start finding a way to start increasing revenue, and that's always an expense involved with increasing revenue. But we think the golf carts is really the first big push of that, and we think it'll make a big difference. Questions? All right.
Exciting.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
if it's gonna pay for itself, go for it.
Yep. The last few items, I know we're on a tight schedule. I think it's only 5 o'clock. We're doing
Yep,
great.
we're okay.
Damon Welch, Mindy, if you want to pull that up. If you remember, if you came to the open house last spring, we showed design of Damon Welch Park. Through conversations that we've had internally, we've kind of tweaked that design. I kind of voiced my opinion, and I think others agreed that we really needed to make Damon Welch Park something that's a little bit more for everybody versus just another playground park. Damon Welch Park has, and you'll see on a plan here in a minute, does have a playground component for 0 to 5-year-olds. We think it's important not only as a place for toddlers to play, but as we start looking at the condition of Hargan Matthews and down the road, that's going to have to be renovated at some point. It's showing its age. So this will give us a place to have those people migrate to until that park gets renovated, whenever that happens. So I'll go from memory before Mindy pulls it up. Essentially what we've looked at, if you think about where the bridge is, on the east side of the bridge, we've identified for that location a half-court basketball court, 2 sand volleyball courts, and a artificial turf soccer practice area. For those of you who play on the sport court pickleball, you know that we've got some soccer folks who go down there and put nets up and play in there. And we know soccer is a very, very popular sport. So we thought we would do something a little bit different and do a fenced-in 105 by 75 foot soccer field for people to come and practice on and play on. This is a sample of what the turf may look like. I just got this today. This is a typical soccer field turf. It's basically put down on a base with some sand. It's a pretty thick pile. It's kind of nice. So we're looking at getting some numbers for those. So that's kind of the east end. Underneath the bridge will be a Harlan Hubbard mural, which I believe we have a donor for already. As we migrate to the west, we have a revamped shelter house, which is there right now. We then have the playground, which is that semicircle that you see. We have some amenities like cornhole and outdoor ping pong, outdoor restrooms, a new shelter house, which is on that north side, and then 6 new pickleball courts. Parking on the west and parking along the street as well. We think that really reflects more the direction of outdoor activities. Pickleball, we all know, is a big need for the community, and then also have facilities for some older kids to be able to go and play and practice, we think is important as well. So I think internally there's a few things we want to change on a little bit, but for the most part we think it's a pretty good plan, and I think it'll be well received. Yeah, we can go through the renderings.
So, go ahead.
Was there a reason you picked like the, whatever that is, 1.5 inch grass turf there?
Yeah, when I talked to this is from Sprint Turf, who does a lot of athletic fields. They said this is a typical soccer field. Originally, I said we want something that's kind of tight, a smaller pile. There are the regulations about the falling and what that base can be. It's the same regulations as playgrounds and other facilities. So this is the commonly used. It's put down on a bed that is for drainage. If you look at the back of this, this has holes in it. Essentially, you put this down, you put sand over it to weigh it down, and that's all you really do to it. There's not much maintenance to it. It just stays the way it is. So a lot of high wear, comfortable. It's very soft. So if people fall or slide, then they won't get burned from the old AstroTurf type of seating. So I told our rep just to give me what you think is typical, and we'll look at it from there. Literally got this afternoon.
Do we have any idea, like durability, how long it's supposed to last?
Yeah, typically these last 10 to 15 years. Pretty much all artificial fields last about minimum of 10 years, depending on wear and traffic and those kinds of things. And then a lot of the costs that you have when you put in artificial fields is all the prep work for the base. The carpet itself isn't that expensive. So when you do change it out in 10 years, you're just replacing the wear surface and not the rest of the infrastructure. I know Tony Steinhardt is talking to some people about some surfaces as well. So Tony hasn't even
You
seen
mean
this
that
yet.
Tony guy right there in the back?
Oh yeah, there he is.
Tony sat down with Scott and the mayor and I and asked for our input. And one thing that comes up again and again about our parks is that there's not a lot for teenagers in our community to do. So we specifically tried to design some spaces for kids in that 12 to 18, whatever age group, sand volleyball, basketball, soccer, pickleball. We really tried to gear this park toward them. So, and really made a concerted effort to keep them in mind as we were designing it. And this is our 4th rendition, Tony, is that right? We've redone it 4 times, trying to get it right.
There you go. So again, this is a toddler playground, so it's really geared for 0 to 5-year-olds. Hargan Matthews is the only toddler playground that we have. Thank you. All right, next item is John Paul Park Improvement Update. There is a citizen group led by the Daughters of American Revolution who have resurrected the master plan for John Paul Park that kind of went away in 2011. We've been working on refreshed designs with some donations from outside people, and we're talking about what are our next steps. And so through any design process, we come up with our master plan, we have that master plan, and then we've got to figure out, okay, what's next? So we have to understand what the park looks like right now, what it's going to take to get to the ultimate plan. And so we had proposals from JQOL, which is a civil engineering design firm out of Indianapolis, for survey work, so they can do topographic survey and preliminary civil engineering work based upon our master plan. That quote was $27,000, and so we had to figure out how to come up with $27,000. The DAR went to the Community Foundation with a grant for that design work. We're happy to announce that they were awarded the full $27,000. So we can start working on the preliminary work for John Paul Park to understand ultimately what's going to cost to renovate it. So this is the first step in a long process. Our intent is for this to be 100% community-based funding. And so there'll be more about that coming out as we work through the process. But great news, great appreciation for the Community Foundation for supporting the DAR and their grant request, and we're looking forward to the next steps of planning for that park. Comfort Station renovation, we've got the floor completed. We've done most of our electrical infrastructure, and this is the lobby only, not the restrooms itself. We have a built-in cabinet for storage for VMI that's been installed. Probably this week we'll get our interior glass doorway and wall installed. And that will separate the waiting area to the left, which will be used for VMI for a satellite visitor center. Once that's installed, we'll finish our electrical and paint, and then kind of the first phase will be done for the Comfort Station renovation. We have some more work that we've got money for that we're going to do on the outside. We're going to start working towards that next. And then ultimately next year we'll figure out what we're going to do for renovating the bathrooms. So that is still ongoing.
So, have we talked about moving that building structure into the category of facilities and out of parks?
I
that
brought
we're-
it up. My opinion is that the Comfort Station and the bathrooms at Bicentennial Park both should go into the facilities department under Public Works.
So there has been talk of that, or?
I have brought it up in a meeting. We're going to meet tomorrow. Bob, Mindy, and I meet every 2 weeks. I'm going to bring that up again. We need to make some clarifications with the new position there, of what's going to go where and how we're going to manage that. We've already talked somewhat about personnel as well. So we're working through that right now. But my vote is that doesn't need to stay in the Parks Department.
That's my vote too.
Yeah.
Also, when would you, if you had to guess, like when would it be available for VMI to move in? What would you guess?
I would guess November 1st.
Okay.
Really, after we get the glass installed, we just have to paint it, put base in, and run some basically wall-facing outlets on one wall because we can't get power through the floor. And that'll take a day or two.
I would love for that Comfort Station to be fully functioning before the Homes Tour
It will
at the
be.
end of November.
It will be.
Okay,
Yeah, we're in the home stretch now.
okay.
We talked a little bit about the adult wellness program that we're rolling out. This again was really driven by the community and conversations we had at Crystal Beach, with a lot of people coming up and say, they loved all the activities we had at Crystal Beach and they wanted to continue it, even when the pool was closed. So Whitney is fantastic about trying to figure out what people need and what they want and having conversations. And so very shortly, you'll see, it'll be this week, we'll roll out the new adult wellness program, which will be at different levels for yoga and Pilates and low impact things, resistance training, those kinds of things. You'll see those coming out here in the next couple days. And then we'll include that as part of an overall package for next year in our pricing structure here, but you can also pay per day. So we're still trying to figure out some of those little pieces of that, but that's exciting. Again, something else that citizens came to us and said, can we do this somehow? And we don't like to say no. We talked about beginner pickleball on Saturdays at Brown Gym. I wanted to have a conversation with Carla and Charlie before we announce that. I still want to do that. And then I suspect we'll have that pop out here probably in the next week or two. We're going to do it on Saturdays. There's nothing in the gym on Saturdays. So we're about ready to roll that out as well. And then the last item that I have is an update on the Hargan-Matthews shade structure with the cookie caper. We have all the things we need to install it. where the donor wanted to install it is not possible because of the fall zone of the playground structure. So I've asked her to think about a different location. So she's in the process of trying to figure out where she might want to put that. But right now, we're just on hold, hearing back from her on some ideas of where that might go. We have the poles, and once the poles are in, we just order the tent. But we're just waiting on to figure out where that needs to go.
I feel very strongly that we need to get that done as soon as possible. This is 3 years, 2 years?
2 years.
2 years in the making, and I just feel like we kind of dropped the ball. We were between directors, but I feel like we dropped the ball, and I want to make that right.
Yep. Yeah, we've communicated a lot. We've had a lot. We met out there, talked about locations. I've sent her all the documents I've received from playground companies about the fall zones and where you can put things and can't. So I tried to be as open with all the communication as possible. What I've received, she's received.
So, Tony Steinhardt, do you know enough about the fall zones that you and Marcy and I could go down there and you could show us where it's possible to put a pole and where it's not?
Happy to help if need be, but I think Jeff and Scott have gone down there. The challenge is each specific playground equipment, depending on whether you're climbing up or coming down and swinging or whatever, have different fall zones. You almost have to have a catalog of all the
I see.
calculations. So I think the manufacturer, you've got to walk that site, and he's pretty much picked the 2 or 3 places that can go.
Correct, and it's not where Marcy wants to have them. So
Unfortunately, it's not where it can go where she wants.
And I get it that we have to follow the law as far as fall zones. I would just like for it to be very specific, like Marcy, these are your 3 choices. Here, here, and here. What would you like? You know, because she's like me, she doesn't know anything about fall zones or where it go. I mean, we
Right.
know they exist for safety of kids, but I would just like to make it easy on her and give her just the choices and then make the decision and go.
And we did that. We gave her a plan that showed the proposed where it should go based upon all the fall zones and where it would do the most good. That's what she has in her possession now.
Okay, so I'll follow up with her then. I just have one more thing. Sport court lights. So our parks are dusk to dawn. And I have been down to the sport court 5 or 6 times this summer. I'm a late night person. I'm out at midnight or later. Those lights are on, or somebody turns them on and they leave them on. So I say we either disconnect the lights or we get a timer on it ASAP. I mean, I think if our parks are dusk to dawn, they're dusk to dawn. And if we're gonna go with that, then maybe we just disconnect the electricity. I don't know, either that or shut them off, because I got tired of shutting them off. At whatever you say. Okay, so, all right, you're right, so I got it wrong. But my point is, you know, there needs to be regulation of that. We're paying electricity bills for all night long. Yes, would you approach so we could hear you, please, Councilwoman?
I
Councilwoman.
walk down there every night, and the lights are on, but I also see teenagers playing soccer. I've never seen anybody act up or do anything wrong, so I think you might miss an opportunity for kids to actually have something to do.
So you're saying a timer would be your preference, like it goes off at a certain time?
Yeah, like maybe midnight,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go off at midnight. Also, this past week, I heard that the golf course down there pays for the electricity for those courts. So you might want to look into that.
Okay.
They pay the weed reimburse, like, they bill us so much a year. I don't think they billed us this year, it's usually November.
Well, I know when I was a kid and we wanted to play tennis at night, we brought our stack of quarters and we fed the machine.
Yep.
We paid, you know, we did play at night, but we all brought quarters so that we could play. So anyway, a timer is fine, I'm fine with that, but I'm tired of paying for the lights to be on all night.
What's a quarter?
Yeah. We'll have to put a credit
No,
card.
but I
$2
do-
bill.
I do agree, and I also heard that electricity's going to the golf course, and it's good to know that they're getting reimbursed, but it still seems like we could work out a better solution.
Be better stewards of it for them.
Okay. So, at this point, if anyone from the public would like to approach the podium and address The Park Commission, you are welcome to do so.
Lisa Ferguson.
And turn the
Is
mic
it on, Lisa? There it is.
I could just use a teacher voice, it's okay.
I know.
Thank you all for all of this. Our only thing is, you know, this is a lovely dream, but we want to quit saying it's a dream. And so is there a timeline? Because we know behind everything you have to have tons of money. So is it like, oh, we might get this in a year or 6 years?
Are you talking Damon
Yeah.
Welch?
No, the goal that we've talked about is to have it open by the end of end of next year. Is that
Some 2025.
2025?
It will
Fall
be
of
open.
2025.
Okay. And last time you were talking about maybe you were looking into getting somebody a professional to clean the bathrooms around here. Did you get anywhere on that?
No, we don't, well, professional is anybody we pay. We don't have the money in the budget to hire a dedicated housekeeper. I do have somebody who's starting this week to start doing the weekend work, to take the work that Gary Guarino had. So she'll start this week, so Saturday and Sunday, she'll do Comfort Station and Bicentennial Park, and then we just have our typical weekly cleaners.
And then we're hoping that goes to the facilities manager.
Me too. We've been hoping that a long time. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. And now we go soccer
Okay.
Yeah, I know where to find you.
at the pickleball course.
At golf course.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, good report. Thank you guys for all that you've done this year. I have just a couple questions. Have you talked to the neighbors about the Damon Welch Park? Have they seen what you're planning, and have you just had a neighborhood meeting with the folks that live right
Up on
above
the
there?
hill?
It would be a really nice idea. I know when you did Oak Hill, you had community meeting with the neighbors, so I would give those folks that same courtesy.
Did we do that, Tony, at Oak Hill? Did we meet with the people who live there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was not involved in that meeting, that's why. I
yeah,
couldn't find
no,
it.
that would be a really good thing. And also, how's the community band doing? And where are they practicing? And
They're still at the Brown Gym.
Yep. Yeah.
On Thursdays.
They're
Tuesday.
buying a ton of sheet
Tuesdays.
music, so they must be doing well.
okay,
I
it would
see them a
just be
lot.
nice. I mean, they're one of the non-sports things that the park department is kind of overseeing. So if we could get some reports every once in a while about the community band, I think it'd be great. They're getting ready for their Christmas concert. In
Is that at
December.
Cliff D again? Do you know?
Yes, I'm assuming it is.
Yep.
Usually is.
It is.
It would just be nice to make sure you include that as part of the parks. And then my last question is about Crystal Beach. Is in the report, are we going to have a chance to look at that as a public? I know this isn't the time to comment on it yet. And also, does it include the number of pool passes that were sold of the different categories?
It does, and that's the paper we're talking about putting online so that everyone could see it.
Yeah, that would be really
With
good.
a few footnotes and comments.
Because I will once again reiterate, if you could start selling pool passes in January and get all your money booked up front, it's a much better way to go. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else from the public that would like to address the park board? Okay, our next meeting is Monday.
Hold on real quick. So, I would like to thank Roger Gallatin and, Christian and Scott at Sunrise for, doing their best to get the, golf course back in order after all that heat. And, it, worked out really well for the Madison Lady Cubs golf team, so. appreciate it, guys.
Congratulations to our Lady Cubs who were sectional champs at Sunrise this year. Good job, Jake. All right, our next meeting is Monday, November 4th at 5 o'clock. This was a weird time for us. It's normally then. And I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for being here. Jake, did you second?
Nope. I did. Yep, thank you. Yeah. I'm headed to soccer. See you guys.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Yes. I was just looking. Oh, thanks. Picked my new floors and they come measured for my new floors. Yeah. And the HVAC guys are supposed to wrap up this week. And then we bring in drywall, where new holes have been created because we just revamped some of that. Some of the HVAC has been replaced and pulled over here. I wanna make sure that the area that you were supposed to change your filter on your HVAC was in the crawl space underneath that. So that's why we had new holes and all that, so.
Yeah, I literally just emailed it.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. If it's cheaper than
No,
that.
I mean, he called today, he's like, hey, can I come in 1:15? I'm like, yeah, that's fine, do it, you can. Yeah, so it was good. He said they've got another shorter pile, that's pretty good, and they make all their own.
Oh, yeah, the old one.
I really care about that, yeah. We just need to figure it out. Start putting the numbers to it. It's weird having people in for a meeting, usually it's a ghost town.
Oh yeah, well maybe you should do this all the time, and then it'd be.
I like it.
Hey, thanks for stopping in.
Oh no, you are.
It's weird because when Marcia texts me, she acts like she's waiting on stuff. Oh, I know you, I just didn't know if.
I do know that the playground guys are doing this, because every piece of equipment.
Requires, I know, so much fall.
So many feet here, and the swings
Yeah.
are so many feet.
Well, I remember you told me the spin things had a big
Big
fall space.
ball space, so you gotta sort of go down now what the equipment is. And they're the playground guys.
Oh,
You know, I mean, you gotta look
there's
up.
so many different.
There's so many, so many configurations. This is new.
Yeah.
Back to regular swings,
I like the tiny cleanse.
yeah, I can see all.
So you can cleanse, like, not very loud or.
That's what you look at, it's got, it's got the autism machine. Play one, play game, two.
I like the overall.
But I just told
I like the pickleball courts being down by better parking options.
Yeah, I got
I
that.
figured that's what you
Walk
needed
up
to
parking.
visit. I noticed that today.
I was like, yeah, well.
And he'll take care of like getting that permission and everything. Okay, good. Good. I'm excited about that. That's not funny, I'm a little Let's make it smaller then. You know me,
Oh, I'm just,
I know we joke about it.
we laugh.
I
I'm not sure how much cheaper that's gonna be than than the playground.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? By the time you, I mean,
yes.
you know what a soccer goal is? $5 grand.
Is ours be like full size? I was thinking it'd be a smaller one. Okay.
That's sort of, you gotta have your kick zone, right? $10,000 for volleyball. But, you know, you gotta have a pad.
We gotta start talking programming for volleyball coaches.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's.
Start talking about it. So it would fall when the first time comes.
Yeah, I mean, I would suspect it's probably kind of, you know, to really think you're gonna have, we might have part of it. I mean, it takes the tax. I mean, it'll be on it. I think, I mean, maybe the goal would
So we're
be.
really looking at 26 as far as regular programming.
Yeah, probably. And then I don't, you know, then down at, sport course, tennis courts, whatever, improvements or changes. With me, I'd still leave the equipment in there, like pickleball, something else like that. But we put dedicated.
Good, how are you?
And it'll be a lot easier to go.
What's up? You always look like you're running in and running out. I don't ever hardly see you much.
Being a business owner, just getting stuff done.
Are you on the M3 board?
Yeah. Yeah, I missed that meeting this morning. Charlie just wants to do a little, it's like a little bus thing. Did you hear about that? We want to do some music on next weekend, like on Central Avenue. Some controversial.
It is?
Yeah.
Why is it? What is it? I don't understand.
No, it's uncontroversial.
Oh, well, good, do it. I thought you said this kind of something. Okay, what's next week?
It's just some band from out of town coming and playing in the alley down here.
Oh, okay. Is that one couple coming with the trapeze thing?
That's it.
Oh, they didn't want to do it down at the.
They do. So like Friday, they want to kind of just get a lay of the land. Saturday, they would like to do the performance on Central Street Avenue right here. And then later in the afternoon, TBD, you know.
Oh, because I had suggested the super overload.
Super overlook.
Yeah. I had suggested that.
It took me 3 minutes. Less than 3 minutes to type that.
I just didn't know if you had any other examples of like
Don't care.
resolutions I could draw from.
Don't care. Don't care. We got our own. That's what I'm saying.
Well, so I'm okay to share that then.
Yeah.
Again, and like promote conversation.
Yeah, well, I was gonna, I move that the city council consider this as a contingency for this set of circumstances.
Are you gonna say that today?
That's what I was going to.
And I thought I should talk to her before I presented this kind of thing.
I don't know what the process is, and I don't know if you have a, resolution and all this other shit. But I'm sitting there going, no, we need to have something, this discussion. I want the discussion to go more out, so Shirley Cleffin frickin' hears it, okay? So Joe Biden hears it. So, you know, we're prepared, because Seymour got screwed, and that Springfield, Ohio got screwed. Seymour's got more, 50% hippies, you know, people that can't speak English in their classroom. I think that's pretty close to it. It can't happen here, and it is happening here. You know, the Pope John and Shaw enrollment is astronomical. And I don't know about Madison schools, but you got a crap load of kids in there that can't speak English. Well, how the hell do they
did.
concept there. You can end it any way you want. Hey, bud.
Brothers don't shake hands, brothers got a hug.
It'll work. Good, good. I'm gonna bring up the deportation thing. Church, you don't care. You don't care about, okay, I'll tell you what, it's illegal to drop people off here. That's what we're starting out with. Springfield, Ohio, Seymour, Indiana. What do you say as far as the schools up in? 52% can't speak English schools.
Yeah, that's what Rick was saying. And I think that's true. I mean, even I was teaching 10 years ago. Right.
It's okay, we can speculate and move them. We don't need to be terribly careful.
Join,